What if one speech, just one speech could change everything? Not just for a man, but for an entire empire? The truth is, it's never going to be easy. You just have to get stronger. The air in the office felt heavy, like something big was about to happen. It wasn't just any regular day. It was the day things would change forever. Marcus stood by the windows of his office, looking out at the city below. His palms were sweating. He felt nervous, unsure of what was coming next. The conference room behind him was full of his employees, many of whom had been with him since the beginning. But today felt different. Today, Marcus knew that something had to shift. His company had grown from a small startup into a multi-million-dollar business. But lately, something wasn't right. The excitement was gone. The energy was fading. His team wasn't as passionate as they used to be. The whispers had started, the doubts, the concerns, the question of whether they had reached the top. And Marcus could feel it. He thought back to a time when he had been driven, when every challenge was a chance to prove himself. But now, he felt stuck, trapped in a cycle of routine. The success that had once fueled him had now become a comfort. And comfort, he knew, was dangerous. I can't keep doing this, Marcus thought. I can't stay in this place. He looked at himself in the mirror. The man staring back at him wasn't the same one who had started this journey. There was doubt in his eyes. But he also knew something deep down. He couldn't let things stay like this. Something's got to change, Marcus whispered to himself. The door to the conference room opened, and his assistant peeked inside. Marcus, they're waiting for you. With a deep breath, Marcus straightened his jacket and walked toward the door. He wasn't sure how this meeting would go, but he knew one thing. He had to make a decision. The room fell silent when he entered. Every employee, every team member, was waiting for him. They all knew this meeting was important, but they had no idea what was coming. Marcus stepped up to the podium. He felt all eyes on him, and for a moment, the words didn't come. But then, he started to speak. His voice was calm at first, but it quickly grew stronger as he spoke from the heart. There's something I need to say, he began. The problem with many of you is that you've become comfortable. We've gotten used to where we are, and that's dangerous. We're not here to stay where we are. We're here to rise above. He paused, looking around the room. Some employees looked confused, others intrigued. Marcus wasn't here for approval. He was here to make a change. Comfort is the enemy, and it's time we face that. We've got to push ourselves. We've got to go higher, and we've got to go together. His voice grew louder, more passionate. Are you ready to leave comfort behind? Are you ready to feel the pain that comes with growth? Because it's coming. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it. There was a silence in the room, thick with anticipation. Marcus could see it in their eyes. Some were scared, others uncertain. But that was okay. They didn't need to have all the answers now. What mattered was that they understood one thing. Change was coming. Marcus took a step back, his words hanging in the air. I'm not asking for your approval. I'm asking for your commitment. We're going to do this together. But I need to know, are you ready to rise? Are you ready to push past what's comfortable? Because if you are, we're about to make something happen that will change everything. As he finished, he took a deep breath. His heart was pounding, but there was a feeling in his chest, a spark. For the first time in a long while, he felt alive again. He wasn't just leading a company. He was leading a movement. But the real question was, would they follow him? Was his speech enough to wake them up? Or would they resist the change that Marcus was so desperately trying to make? The future of the company, and their own futures, was now hanging in the balance. The next morning, Marcus sat at his desk, staring at the piles of paperwork in front of him. The phone had stopped ringing. The emails had slowed down. It was as if the entire company had come to a standstill, waiting for something, waiting for him. He ran his fingers through his hair and sighed. The meeting yesterday had been intense. He had said what needed to be said, but now, the weight of those words sat heavily on his shoulders. Was he pushing too hard? Was it too soon? His thoughts were interrupted by a knock on the door. Come in, he called, his voice a little more strained than he intended. It was Jake, one of the senior managers. His face was neutral, but Marcus could see the tension in his eyes. Jake had been with the company for a long time, and he was one of the few who had stuck by Marcus through thick and thin. He trusted Jake, but even now, Marcus couldn't help but wonder if his leadership was slipping. Marcus, I just wanted to check in, Jake began, taking a seat across from him. How are you feeling after yesterday? Marcus hesitated. Honestly, Jake, I'm not sure. I said what I needed to say, but now I'm questioning whether it was enough. People don't like change, and I'm not sure they're ready for what's coming. Jake leaned forward. I get it. Change is hard, especially for the people who've been here the longest. But you're right. They're comfortable. They've settled into their routines, and now you're asking them to leave it all behind. Marcus rubbed his eyes. Exactly. But if I don't push them, if I don't make them uncomfortable, we'll stay stuck. And I'm not ready to stay stuck. Jake gave him a slow nod. I hear you. But don't forget, you're in this together. You don't have to carry this weight alone. Marcus appreciated the reassurance, but the truth was, he didn't feel like he had anyone to turn to. His team had become distant, and the pressure to keep it all together was suffocating. There were days when he wondered if it was all worth it. If he could keep leading with this much responsibility weighing him down. What do you think about the speech? Marcus asked, looking at Jake closely. Do you think it resonated with them? Jake paused, considering his words. It got their attention, that's for sure. But there's one thing UVE got to remember. UVE got to show them the way. Words are powerful, but actions speak louder. If you want them to rise, you've got to lead by example. Show them you're willing to put in the work, even when it's tough. Marcus leaned back in his chair, absorbing Jake's words. His gut told him Jake was right. The speech was just the beginning. It wasn't enough to tell people what they needed to do. He had to show them. Every day. But Marcus was scared. What if they didn't follow? What if the fear, the uncertainty, kept them from taking the leap with him? Just then, Marcus's phone buzzed on the desk. It was a message from one of his employees, an up-and-coming talent who had joined the company not long ago. It read, Marcus, I just wanted to say thank you for what you said yesterday. I've been feeling stuck for a while, but your words gave me a new perspective. I'm ready to put in the work. I just hope the others feel the same way. For a brief moment, a small smile tugged at Marcus's lips. There it was, the first sign that his speech had made a difference. Maybe not for everyone, but it had planted a seed in at least one person. See, Jake said, following his gaze to the phone. You're making a difference. It might take time, but they're listening. Marcus looked at the message again and nodded. You're right. It's just going to take time. Later that afternoon, Marcus stood in front of the building, looking up at the sky. He had made the decision. This wasn't just about the company anymore. This was about the legacy he wanted to leave. He had to push through the discomfort. He had to keep going, no matter how hard it got. But the question lingered in his mind. Could he keep his team motivated, or would they fall back into their comfort zones? He turned to walk back inside when his phone rang again. This time, it was from his top competitor, a company that had been closing in on his market share. His heart skipped a beat as he answered. Marcus, the voice on the other end said, we need to talk. I've been hearing rumors about some changes going on over there. How serious are you about this shift? Because if you're not ready to make a move, I'm ready to take advantage. Marcus gripped the phone tightly, the words sinking in. His competitor was making a move. And if he didn't act fast, everything he had worked for could slip away. Was it time to go all in? Was it time to show his team what true leadership looked like? With the competition closing in, Marcus now faces a choice. Go all in on the changes he is pushing for, or risk losing everything. Will he push through the fear and lead his team to success? Or will they fall short? Only time will tell. The days following Marcus's speech felt like a blur. The employees were quieter than usual, some more distant than others. Though a few had seemed inspired by his words, the vast majority still moved through their tasks mechanically, their faces hard to read. The energy from the speech had faded, replaced by the humdrum of everyday work. Marcus knew that the real test was only just beginning. Every day, he had to ask himself the same question. Was he strong enough to make them believe? He sat at his desk again, his mind racing. The office around him felt too quiet. It wasn't that people weren't working. They were, but the fire he had hoped to ignite wasn't burning brightly yet. His biggest fear was that they wouldn't rise to the challenge, that they would become comfortable once again. The phone buzzed on his desk, interrupting his thoughts. It was a text from Jake. We need to talk. Meet me in 30 minutes. Marcus immediately felt a knot in his stomach. Was Jake doubting him too? He didn't know what to expect, but he knew he couldn't afford another setback. He took a deep breath and stood up, grabbing his jacket. As he entered the conference room, he saw Jake waiting. His face was serious, no smile or warmth in sight. Marcus sat down across from him, the air thick with tension. Jake, Marcus said, trying to sound calm. What's going on? Jake hesitated for a moment, then spoke. I've been hearing some things from the team. There's a lot of uncertainty, Marcus. People are still asking the same questions. They're waiting for you to show them what comes next. You've inspired some, sure, but you've also left others wondering if they can really make this leap. Marcus's heart sank. He had expected pushback, but hearing the words out loud felt like a punch in the gut. So, what do you suggest? Marcus asked quietly. Jake leaned forward, his voice lowering. You need to lead by example. I know you've been working hard, but it's not just about words anymore. People are looking at you, waiting for you to show them you're willing to put in the grind too. You've been talking about growth, but they need to see it. They need to feel it. Marcus felt a wave of frustration wash over him. Hadn't he already shown them enough? He had spent countless hours working late, trying to steer the company in the right direction. But Jake was right. Words were just the beginning. They needed to see action. They needed to see him take risks, face discomfort, and confront his own doubts head-on. He ran his hands through his hair. So what do I do, Jake? What if I don't have the answers? What if they're right to doubt me? Jake paused before responding, his voice filled with quiet conviction. That's the thing, Marcus. They're not looking for perfection. They're looking for someone who's willing to lead, even when they don't have all the answers. You're not going to have all the solutions overnight, but you've got to show them you're willing to try. You can't afford to let fear control you. Marcus sat in silence, letting Jake's words sink in. It wasn't just about the company anymore. It was about something deeper. It was about trusting himself, trusting his vision. The fear and self-doubt that had crept into his mind were holding him back. I'm scared, Jake, Marcus admitted. What if they don't follow me? What if this all falls apart? Jake's gaze softened. You've built something amazing here, Marcus. But if you want it to grow, you have to be willing to take that leap. People follow leaders who aren't afraid to face the unknown. The words hit Marcus like a wave. He could feel it, the weight of the decision ahead of him. He couldn't keep running from his fears. It was time to stop playing it safe. I'll do it, he said, his voice filled with a new sense of determination. I'll show them. I'll show myself. The next day, Marcus took the first step. Instead of hiding behind his desk, he took action. He started moving through the office, engaging with his team, answering questions, offering guidance, and most importantly, he started showing them how hard he was willing to work. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't easy, but Marcus was determined. He stayed late, working side by side with his employees, helping them solve problems, taking on the tasks that nobody else wanted to touch. He put in the hours, proving that he wasn't asking them to do anything he wasn't willing to do himself. And while some of his team still remained skeptical, Marcus could feel a shift beginning. The walls of resistance were slowly starting to crack. But just as things seemed to be moving forward, the pressure continued to mount. A message from his competitor appeared on his phone again, a reminder that the stakes had never been higher. Marcus, I hear things are changing over there. How long do you think this momentum will last? We're not slowing down. You should know that. Marcus stared at the message for a moment, frustration welling up inside him. The competition was closing in, and his own people were still uncertain. Would this be the push he needed to keep going, or would it be the breaking point? With the pressure mounting from all sides, Marcus must decide if he's willing to fight for what he believes in, even if it means losing everything. Will he keep pushing forward, or will the weight of it all be too much to bear? The days felt longer now, and the weight of his decisions pressed harder on Marcus's shoulders with each passing hour. His speech had stirred something in the team, but the momentum he had hoped for still seemed to be slipping through his fingers. There were days when the tasks seemed to drag on forever. He could feel the doubts creeping back in, the fear of failure gnawing at him. Was it enough? He had started showing up early, staying late, working beside his employees, leading by example. Yet, there was still that undercurrent of uncertainty in the office. Some workers had embraced the challenge, but others were still hesitant, still unsure. They weren't ready to break free from their comfort zones, and the strain of it all was beginning to wear on Marcus. That afternoon, he sat at his desk, staring at the same message from his competitor. The words burned into his mind. We're not slowing down. You should know that. The message felt like a challenge. It wasn't just about business anymore. It was about pride. It was about winning. And right now, Marcus wasn't sure if he was winning. The door to his office opened suddenly, breaking his thoughts. Jake stepped inside, looking more serious than ever. Marcus, we need to talk, he said, his voice tense. Marcus stood up slowly. What's going on? Jake hesitated, then dropped a stack of papers onto the desk. It was a report on company performance. The numbers weren't good. In fact, they were worse than Marcus had feared. The progress was slower than expected. Some of the team members had already fallen back into old habits. The excitement from the speech had worn off, and now they were slipping back into their comfort zones. "We've hit a wall," Jake said, his voice strained. "I know you've been working hard, but we need more than effort now. We need results, and we need them fast." Marcus felt a knot in his stomach. The reality of the situation was hitting him hard. He had tried to push his team, tried to get them to see the bigger picture. But now, it felt like he was pushing them into a storm, and they were running out of energy to fight back. "Is it over?" Marcus asked quietly, his voice filled with frustration. "Am I losing them?" Jake shook his head. "It's not over, but you need to give them something to believe in, something they can latch onto. You've talked the talk, but they need to see you walk the walk." Marcus was silent for a moment, taking in what Jake had said. He knew Jake was right. He couldn't afford to lose faith in his vision now. He had to show them that this was worth the fight. "I've been thinking," Marcus said, his voice gaining strength. "I need to make them believe in the mission again. They need to see that we not just working for the company. We working for something bigger. I need to remind them of why we started this in the first place. I can't let them quit. Not now." Jake nodded slowly. "You're right. It's time to remind them. But you need to give them more than words. They need a reason to believe in this." Marcus took a deep breath, the realization hitting him. He couldn't do this alone. He needed his team. And to get them to rally behind him, he had to show them the real stakes. He had to make them see the bigger picture. "All right," Marcus said, standing up straight. "I'm going to do it. I'll show them." Later that afternoon, Marcus called for another meeting. This time, a smaller, more intimate one. The key players from each department filed into the room, each with a sense of expectation hanging in the air. Marcus stood at the front, looking at them all. This was it. No more speeches. No more empty promises. This was the moment where he either got through to them, or he lost them forever. "I know things haven't been easy," he began, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "We've hit roadblocks, faced challenges, and at times, it feels like we're not moving forward at all. But I'm here to tell you, this isn't the end. It's the beginning. If you think this is hard now, just wait until we push through it. That's when the real growth happens." He paused, letting his words settle. He could see the doubt in their eyes, but he refused to back down. This company, this team, this vision, it's about more than just making money. It's about changing the game. It's about doing what people say is impossible and proving them wrong. But that is not going to happen if we sit here and wait for things to get better. We have to make them better. We have to earn it. His eyes scanned the room, meeting the gazes of everyone there. "I'm not asking you to work harder. I'm asking you to work smarter. I'm asking you to fight for what you believe in. This isn't just about the company. It's about you. It's about your dreams, your potential. And if you're willing to go through the pain now, you'll see the reward later." The room was silent. No one moved, no one spoke. But Marcus could see something changing in their faces. A shift, the spark of belief starting to flicker again. "This is our chance," he continued. "I'm not going to give up on this team. And I'm not going to let you give up either. We're going to make this work. But it starts with you. It starts with each one of you stepping up and fighting for your future." The silence stretched on, but this time, it felt different. This time, it felt like they were listening. And in that moment, Marcus knew that the fight wasn't over. It was just beginning. As Marcus finishes his speech, a new sense of urgency fills the room. Will his words be enough to reignite their passion? Or is the pressure of the competition too much to overcome? The real test is just beginning, and the stakes are higher than ever. The office was quieter than usual, and Marcus could feel the weight of the silence pressing down on him. His company was slipping. His team was losing focus. The vision he had once shared so confidently now seemed distant, like a fading dream. Every day felt like a fight to keep the fire alive, a fight to lead them through the darkness. But with every report, every setback, Marcus felt his resolve weakening. Was it enough? Was he enough? The competition was closing in, and Marcus could hear it. The whispers of doubt, not just from his team, but from deep within himself. Had he reached his limit? Was this the end? But then, he thought back to the speech, the words that had left his mouth, the challenge he had set before them all. It doesn't get easier. You get stronger. And those words hit him harder than he expected. Was he living them? Marcus slammed his fist on the desk, shaking himself from his thoughts. No more self-doubt. No more second-guessing. He had promised his team that he would lead them through this. He had made them believe that they could rise above. Now, it was time to prove it to them and to himself. Jake's message buzzed on his phone, snapping him back to reality. Marcus, we need to talk. The numbers are worse than we thought. We can't keep pretending like we've got time. Marcus could feel his heart racing as he read the message. Time. That word had never carried so much weight. He was running out of time, and everyone knew it. The future of the company, the future of his employees, was hanging in the balance. He stood up, the tension in his body like a coil about to snap. He had to act. He had to lead. He had to take that final step, the one that would either break him or make him stronger. Jake walked into the office a few minutes later. His face was tense, his shoulders stiff. Marcus, it's bad. We've got to make a move, and we need to do it now. I'm not sure how much longer we can hold on. Marcus's eyes narrowed, his jaw clenched. What are you saying, Jake? You want me to give up? You want me to take the easy way out? Jake shook his head. I'm not saying that. I'm saying we need to get real. We've been dragging our feet, hoping things would get better on their own. But hope doesn't work. We need action. We need to move now. Marcus turned away, his hands gripping the edge of his desk. You think I don't know that? You think I don't see the numbers, the competition creeping up on us? But we're not done yet. I'm not done. We're not done. The words burned in his chest as he said them. But they felt true. He wasn't going to let this go down like this. He wasn't going to be the one to quit. Jake, we're going to rise above this. You and me, all of us. But we have to fight for it. We can't just sit here and wait. We need to push, even when it hurts. Even when it feels like it's too late. Jake looked at him, a spark of understanding in his eyes. All right, I'm with you. Let's do this. Marcus didn't waste another second. The next day, he gathered his team again. This wasn't just another meeting. This wasn't just another motivational speech. This was the final test. It was now or never. He stood at the front, his eyes locked on every face in the room. The moment of truth had arrived. Listen to me, he said, his voice cutting through the silence like a blade. You've heard me talk about change. You've heard me talk about growth. But let's be real. Talk means nothing without action. He paced slowly in front of them, his voice steady but filled with intensity. You've heard the excuses. I can't do this. It's too hard. I'm not ready. But I'm telling you, you're ready. You've always been ready. You just don't know it yet. And I'm here to show you. We are going to fight for this company. We are going to fight for ourselves. We are going to fight for what we believe in. He paused, looking at them all. But you're going to have to make a choice. The choice to rise, to push beyond the fear. The choice to stop waiting for someone else to change things for you. The choice to take control of your future. The room was dead quiet, but Marcus could feel it. Something was changing. He wasn't just speaking words. He was speaking truth. And that truth was beginning to sink in. This is our last shot. I'm not asking you to believe in me. I'm asking you to believe in yourselves. I'm asking you to take that first step into the unknown, into the pain of growth. Because only through that pain will you find the strength to rise. Marcus looked at each face, one by one. Are you ready? Are you willing to give everything you've got? Because this is the only way forward. There's no turning back. The silence that followed was heavy, but it wasn't filled with doubt. It was filled with something else, something powerful. A decision. As Marcus finished speaking, the room remained still. But in the hearts of the team, a fire was beginning to burn. Would they step forward and join him in the fight? Or would they let the fear of failure keep them in their comfort zones? The decision was theirs to make, but one thing was certain. This was their moment. The room was filled with a buzz of quiet conversation as Marcus left the meeting. The decision had been made. The energy in the air had shifted, and for the first time in days, Marcus felt a spark of hope. His team wasn't just following him, they were with him. They had heard his words, they had felt the urgency, and they had made their choice. They were ready. But the true test was about to begin. He had awakened something in them. But now it was time for them to awaken something in themselves. Marcus wasn't leading just to survive anymore. He was leading to thrive, to push past the walls they had built for themselves and claim their future. As the days passed, the shift was undeniable. The work began to take on a new energy. People were showing up earlier, staying later, pushing harder. The excuses faded, replaced by determination. Marcus saw it in their eyes, in the way they moved, in the urgency that now filled their every action. And yet, the pressure remained. The competition never stopped. The stakes had never been higher. Every day, Marcus made sure to lead by example. He didn't just tell them to step up. He was in the trenches with them, showing them how to push through the doubt, the fatigue, and the fear. He wasn't asking them to do anything he wasn't willing to do himself. But as the days turned into weeks, a new challenge emerged. It wasn't the numbers or the competition. It was the inevitable fear of failure. Marcus felt it too. The weight of everything that was at risk pressed down on him. And then, one morning, as he sat at his desk, the weight felt unbearable. The pressure to lead, the pressure to succeed, the pressure to get it right. It was all too much. His phone buzzed again. A message from his competitor. "Marcus, we've been watching. You're struggling. It's not too late to take the offer. This is your last chance to get out with something. You've lost the battle." For a brief moment, doubt crept in. The offer was tempting. The easy way out. The safe option. But Marcus knew the answer. No more safe options. This wasn't about quitting. It wasn't about taking the easy way out. It was about standing tall and pushing through, no matter what. He stood up, his hands shaking as he placed the phone down. He didn't need the buyout. What he needed was to see this through. And just as Marcus was about to make his decision, he felt a knock on the door. It was Jake, his face full of excitement. "Marcus, you're not going to believe this," Jake said, barely able to contain himself. "The numbers, they've turned around. We've made a breakthrough. The momentum is shifting in our favor." Marcus's heart raced. "What are you saying?" "The hard work is paying off. They've finally caught on. People are stepping up. The energy in the office is unlike anything we've seen in months. We're gaining ground, fast." Marcus couldn't believe it. It wasn't just talk anymore. It was happening. They were finally pushing forward, breaking through the walls they had built for themselves. The final test had been passed. Marcus walked out of his office and into the open floor of his company. The energy was electric. People were working together, collaborating, solving problems, and pushing boundaries. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. It was progress. He stood in the middle of the office, watching his team. His team, not his employees. His brothers and sisters in this fight. And as they worked, he realized something. They didn't just do this for him. They did it for themselves. For their own growth. For the belief that they could be better. Marcus smiled, his heart full of pride. "We did it," he whispered to himself. "We made it." And as the final numbers came in, Marcus knew that this moment, this breakthrough, was only the beginning. There would be more challenges ahead. There would be more moments of doubt. But he knew one thing for sure. They were ready to face it. Together. Marcus had led them through the storm, but they had walked through it together. The fight was far from over, but now they had the strength to keep moving forward. The competition was still fierce, but they were unstoppable. The moment they had fought for, worked for, bled for, had arrived. The future wasn't just something they were waiting for. It was something they were creating. If this video inspired you, I'd love for you to subscribe and join this community of people committed to growth and taking action. Your support means the world to me, and it helps me create even more stories that challenge, motivate, and inspire. Please, let me know what you think about this video and its message. How did it speak to you? Your feedback helps me improve and brings you more powerful stories in the future. Thank you for being part of this journey.